Hello everybody and welcome back to Marvel Rivals. In this one we're going to be going over Mr. Fantastic, one of the first characters to be introduced in Marvel Rivals with Season 1. So let's just get right into him. Mr. Fantastic's primary attack is called Stretch Punch. Stretch out a forward punch to attack enemies. Now on the surface level, this attack actually seems really simplistic. It's got a range of about 15 meters, and you basically just punch forward. Now the cool thing about this ability is you can actually drag the punches, and it will actually hit multiple targets. So if you're facing a big group of enemies, you can always punch to the side and swing across all of them, and you'll actually hit all of them. Do note that with my testing, it does seem to be a little inconsistent sometimes, but for the most part, it does hit everyone while you're swinging. I'm not sure if it's a speed or latency thing on the server's end, so maybe just slow down a little bit while you're punching people. Don't be doing 180s with your DPI set to maximum. Mr. Fantastic's passive ability is called Elastic Strength. Using abilities generate elasticity. Boosting attack power, reaching full elasticity triggers an inflated state that grants shield and boosts even more damage. So as you do damage or use abilities, you'll see a little meter pop up underneath your crosshair. When this meter hits 100%, Mr. Fantastic will go into his Elastic Strength mode. While in this mode, his attacks do more damage, he gets more health, and he gets a movement boost. Note that his punching range is drastically decreased while in this mode. You also can't use any abilities except your ultimate ability. You gain a sizable shield that decays over time as you're using it, and this ability lasts for about 6 seconds before wearing off. Overall, this is actually a pretty good survivability as you're fighting and brawling with a bunch of people. Like I said, this does do a pretty dramatic increase to his overall damage, so hopefully while you're in a fight, this ends up activating. His alternate fire is called Distended Grip. Extend arms forward and entangle an enemy. Then press the attack button to pull and hit enemies towards you, or select and yank another enemy, knocking them airborne against each other. This ability is actually really cool. On activation, you immediately gain 30 elasticity charge. Pressing the attack button on the same target, it will pull the target to you and do a decent amount of damage. If you don't press the button or move too far away from someone, it will actually deactivate by itself. Now the cool thing about this is you can actually grab two enemies by grabbing one person, looking at another, and pressing the attack button again. This will grab both of them and pull them together, knocking them airborne if they're close enough. I say that because you can actually grab two people in completely opposite directions if you really want to. This will pull them closer together, but it may not pull them together depending on what's in between them and how far apart they are. While I don't think you're going to be often pulling people halfway across the map to each other, you can do it. I think this ability does have a lot of other better use cases, however, like grabbing a squishy target and pulling them towards your team to finish off, or if someone's just trying to run away, you can grab them. Also, grabbing two somewhat squishy targets and moving them together to make it easier for other people to aim at them. I feel like Mr. Fantastic is going to be a pseudo tank, so while he might not be getting all the final eliminations, I think he's going to be putting in work and positioning people in proper places for other people to finish them off. His E ability is called Flexible Elongation. Gain a shield, select a target, and dash towards them, dealing damage to enemies and granting a shield to allies. When looking at an enemy or ally, you can press this ability. It will dash towards them and either deal damage to them or give them a shield. This gives him a decently sized shield on use, and gives an ally the similar amount if he uses it on them. This does an okay amount of damage, but also grants you 30 elasticity. Since you have two charges of this ability, you can get elasticity very quickly when using this ability. Also keep in mind when you're in your Elastic Strength mode, your range is decreased, so maybe being closer isn't such a bad thing. Use this ability to get in close when you're almost to that point. That way you can do what Ben does and start clobbering. His next ability is called Reflexive Rubber. Stretch body to absorb damage before launching stored damage in the targeted direction. This ability is pretty self-explanatory and really cool. Pressing the button, he is slowed down and will start absorbing damage. After a little bit, he will shoot all the damage he's taken back in a targeted direction. Do note that as of right now, he can only take 300 worth of damage. When he shoots it back, he only does a portion, a little over half of what he took. Keep in mind that this acts as a shield, meaning it's not limited to projectiles only. You can take melee damage, swords, tick damage, whatever type of damage is in the game, you can take it and shoot it back at someone. Which is really cool, meaning you can actually absorb ultimates and shoot a portion of that damage back at someone. Keep in mind that it doesn't reflect back to the person that dealt the damage, it shoots back in a ball where your crosshair is. So make sure you're aiming at someone, otherwise you're just sucking up damage, which isn't bad, but come on, doing damage is more fun. Mr. Fantastic's ultimate ability is called Brainiac Bounce. Leap upward and smash into the ground, slowing enemies within range. Can leap again upon landing a hit. This ability is kind of goofy and funny, but it's what Mr. Fantastic does. Pressing the button, Mr. Fantastic will leap forward, becoming a weird, elongated bowling ball arm man, and start smashing into the ground. You have a maximum of 6 bounces as long as you're hitting a target, and a minimum of 3. So if you miss the first 2 bounces, don't feel too bad because you have 1 more. And as long as you're hitting someone, you can bounce up to 6 times. Do keep in mind, every consecutive bounce does more damage, meaning the first one is actually the weakest bounce. The 6th one does 1% more than the first one, so it gets more deadly as it goes. Mr. Fantastic has one team-up ability with Sue Storm called Fantastic Four. Invisible Woman grants psionic armor to the rest of the Fantastic Four. Once Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic are on the same team together, this team-up will activate. Invisible Woman doesn't have to do anything besides exist on the team to make this work. Once she's on the same team as you, you have a new ability. Pressing it, it will grant you a shield based on the amount of health you lost. The shield regenerates as you take damage and lasts for a few seconds. It seems like for Mr. Fantastic, the shield caps out at around 100 extra shield, so keep that in mind. Overall, this is a decent ability, not great, not terrible, just to give him a little bit of extra survivability. The cooldown is pretty low, so you can use this pretty often. And that is everything you need to know about Mr. Fantastic. What do you guys think about Mr. Fantastic? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, if you liked the video or learned anything, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, as it really does help out the channel. I got a bunch of other Marvel Rivals content on the channel, so feel free to check that out. If not, thank you guys so much for watching to this point, and I'll see you next time.